The gym is probably the most fair place in the world to me, meaning whatever you put in, it's equitable in terms of what you get back.
We're going to start this episode off a little bit different.
Oh, wow.
I've got
a
book here, a special book for me personally that was gifted to me from my wife when I was in college and I was working as a personal trainer.
Hilarious that you pulled that out.
At the University of Missouri, St. Louis. And this was the first book. Part of me being here with you right now is because of this book. All right, it added to my repertoire, it added to my insight. It got me reading about health and fitness. And it's thanks to this guy right here,
That
Gunnar
is
Peterson.
so funny.
Yeah.
You did not let on at all that was happening.
Nope.
That's funny.
Yeah, man, you've been in my world for quite some time, and I'm just such a huge fan and really grateful to have you here. And the timing is divine, you know, because you're moving and shaking. We might get into that a little bit later, but I want to ask you your superhero origin story. All right, you started off, you shared a little bit in the book.
Yeah.
But this was back, 2005, 2004, maybe, when that came out?
The book came out January 1, 2005.
Yeah.
It's just an easy date to remember, yeah.
Yeah.
So I wrote it in 03, 04, going along, limping along, as it were.
Well, in the book, you shared how you got interested in health and fitness. So what was that? What was the igniter for you for Gunnar Peterson?
I was a fat kid. Can't say fat, just did. What's going to happen? Yeah, I was a fat kid. And but I also didn't understand. I didn't know why I was fat as a kid. First of all, you don't, like, why is this happening to me? And I know some adults who still carry that mindset and they need to lose it. But I said to my mom, I used to complain about it all the time. And she looked one day and goes, do you want to do something about it, or you just want to keep complaining? I said, of course I want to do something, having no idea what that entailed. And she took me to Weight Watchers. I was 10 years old. And she took me to Weight Watchers in Houston, Texas. And that was weird.
Yeah.
And because I'm a kid, I'm in a room with adults who are fighting their weight and who are psychologically in a very different place from a developmental standpoint that a kid is, and who understand more. It was the 70s, so what they understood about exercise, maybe not obviously what it is today, but they understood the interaction between exercise, movement, nutrition, alcohol, sleep, to whatever degree they did, which no matter what it was more than I did as a 10-year-old. Mm-hmm. So, you had to stand up and say your name and get weighed and write it in your little book. And
that's a hell of an introduction.
I don't know that it's the right way to go. Like, I don't know that that's the right thing to do for a kid. And I'm sure there are psychologists who would say, my gosh, don't ever do that. At the end of the day, it was good for me, right? Maybe not in the short term, but in the long term, I connected some dots about nutrition that I never would have, and about the role exercise plays. And so it works out, right?
So did you start working out in
No, I was super active as a kid. I just ate garbage. I mean, and through no fault, my mom. So my brown paper bag lunch the next day changed immediately, and I had tuna fish on whatever it was. It wasn't white bread anymore, and it was mustard instead of mayonnaise with the tuna. And I got a Fresca was the drink back in the day.
Fresca?
Yeah. So that became the drink versus whatever regular soda. And people were like, why didn't you drink water? I don't know, because that's not what we drank then.
Yeah.
And I got an apple instead of an ice cream sandwich.
Yeah.
So I started, and I dropped 5 pounds before the next meeting, which was a shocker, but it was great to see it. And I started cheating on the diet immediately. I started cutting corners. I can have this, I can sneak that, I can do this. Because now I know the game, which of course I didn't. And then the weight loss plateaus, and then you lose 3 or 1, and then that's not interesting anymore. So your habits revert, but now at least you have some knowledge.
Yeah, that's the thing about all of this stuff. Unfortunately, in our society, we see these things as failures, but it really is giving us data that we can't turn it off. Especially once we do something, we get some feedback. Mm-hmm. Your brain and your body knows.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I know. Well, look, what I've learned about nutrition since then I've forgotten more probably than I know, but I have so many little bookmarks of do that, don't do that. Oh, that's a good idea. That's a bad idea. So at least now, and this is why I took my kids to a nutritionist, a long time ago, and I said to them, now now you have an understanding, so you can't be a victim. That's the part I don't like. I don't like when people say, I'm eating healthy, I don't know, and you look at their diet, you go, there's a big difference between health or perceived health and what you can do to change your body composition. There's health, and then there's because it's healthy doesn't mean you can go unlimited quantity, and so all that stuff plays in. So I just tell my kids, I don't want you to be a victim. I want you to understand the choices you make are your own, and you're going to live and die by them. So at least go in knowing. That's the power of the information.
Yeah, that's so important. So often we come into things as a victim. We have no idea about any of it, and so we just buy into whatever this person is telling us.
Which is a derivative of entitlement, which is a super unattractive quality, especially in an adult. More understanding and forgivable with a child, but as an adult, you're entitled to have XYZ work out for you in your life. You're not, and you're holding the reins of this. This is your show, so make it work.
Yeah.
Inform yourself.
Well, you're the guy. You are the guy. I think if we're talking about putting incredible physiques on screen for, some of the biggest movies of all time, television, the whole thing, Matthew McConaughey, J-Lo, Kim Cattrall, Ben Affleck, the list goes on and on and on.
But you got, in fairness, this is not faux humility. Those people do the work, and they do the work without fail, and they are consistent, and they apply themselves, and they prioritize, and they will not be denied. So hopefully, as the trainer, the person piecing together the program on the fly, or even if you have time leading in, you're just helping them stay closer to the straight line than deviating way over here and having to come back to it. You're getting them to do, looks more like a slalom than but they get the credit. So the people who take all the credit, you can't take the credit for those people. You can't look at them do it. I'm happy they came. I'm happy they stuck with it. I'm happy whatever I provided was enough to get them to keep coming back, because it's the consistency that wins the day, and they earn it.
See, all right, man. The humble vibes.
It's true. It's not humble. You just got to keep it real.
Okay. Well, keeping it real goes wrong. All right. That's a Dave Chappelle skit back in the day. But here's the thing, man. There was a time when, and still it's happening, when people are just like, Gunnar, you got to see Gunnar. You got to see Gunnar. Gunner's the guy. And people are coming to you for your expertise and understanding what moves need to be made to get people to where they want to be. But you had to figure this stuff out for yourself first.
Oh, yeah.
So
Still do.
Your gym is like one of the, the quote hottest places in LA, truly. And coming to that space, that's kind of like that's your workshop in a sense, right? Oh, yeah. So I'm wondering, how did it get started? Like, how did you go from that kid who was cutting corners to finding yourself in the gym lifting heavy stuff?
The gym is probably the most fair place in the world to me. Meaning, whatever you put in, it's equitable in terms of what you get back. And I think people go in, or I've seen people go in and they give 40% and they want 100 back. And I'm like, you're going to get 40 back. And when you leave, if you start dicking around with your diet or your sleep or your recovery protocols or your stress levels, that's going to come out of that 40. So you have to me, you go in and you give 100, which doesn't mean every workout, looks like a Rocky montage, but it means every workout you got to give 100% of whatever you have that day. And we don't all come in at 100% every day. That goes from pro athletes to Academy Award winners. You just don't. So you have to give 100% of whatever your 100 is that day. And you will get that back every single time. And if you're doing resistance training versus just cardio, that's a physiology thing. You speak to that. There's a return on that investment, right? The epoch post training that you're going to get. So if you put in that work, it's going to keep paying you. It's going to pay dividends well beyond what you thought you were doing in the gym. So people go, oh, I really didn't do much today. Don't do that. Don't beat yourself up for what you didn't do. Give yourself credit for what you did do, because there are going to be days when you can give 200%, and there are going to be days when you can give 50, but that 50 better be 100% of what you brought in. It's a lot of math right there for a trainer. Most of us are just counting on our fingers. But
so this picture of you in your book, it's back in 1986, and you got the biceps jumping off here. It looks like you might be in front of like a Camaro. Probably had like a flaming eagle on the hood of it, whatever.
It's in a tank top. I haven't looked at that photo forever. It's in a tank top, and I think it says this is the last time I ever wore a tank top.
It does. Yes, it does. And it's not just a regular tank top, by the way. It's one of those like drawstring.
You said 80s. It had to be.
Oh, here you are. This is the one I was talking about. You're jumping out here at the sunroof of the car with the biceps.
Yep.
So
that was at Duke. That was in front of my house senior year at Duke University.
Wow. So was this when everything really started clicking? Was in college?
So in college, the fraternity I joined was ATOs at Duke, and it was athletes. It was all varsity athletes, predominantly football players, wrestlers, some swimmers. So I trained differently. I learned to train. There was a different intensity. I got access to the varsity weight room. Strength coach, actually just retired, strength coach emeritus Sonny Falcone gave me access to the weight room if I opened it, closed it, and cleaned it in the summers, and I did. So I was different than just the, Gen Pop gym. I got that, and my thought was I'm never going to be as strong as these dudes, but I could definitely master the form and do everything right. So I started reading and I got caught up into it. But no, it didn't all connect then, because I mentioned it was college. The nutrition was nowhere near where it should have been. I mean, it was nachos and beer, and it's just what we did. So when I got out is when I started applying or learning more about nutrition.
Got it. So was this a time when you were also thinking about coaching other people? When did that kick into play?
No, but it was super empowering as a former fat kid to know that I was doing this and I was seeing real changes. My body wasn't what it started out to be, and I was not that it wasn't like molding clay, but A, you're young, B, you have time to really get after it, and then you're applying things you're learning. So I wanted to shout that from the rooftops, and I'd say, you got to see, there's this exercise, or there's this machine, or I learned to do this, and I was just eager and passionate about sharing it. And I still think I have that. I mean, I look at so much fitness stuff today, it's crazy. And I forward it to buddies of mine who are in fitness, which is funny because now they're all younger, because the group that came with me, they don't all still do it or still want to do it or care. They have a routine and that, and I'm not into. I do different stuff all the time, and I'm open to it, and not that that's wrong what they're doing, because if it's working for them, by all means run with it. But now I end up sharing that with people 10, 20, and 30 years younger than I am. I have a guy who's strength coach of the Lakers now, which is the job I had. He was actually on my staff when I was there. Ed Strike, great dude, great fitness mind, and I still forward him stuff. And I think Ed's 30 years younger than I am, but to me, it's not about the age. We're colleagues, like we were. And I used to say when I was there, I'm not the head of this department. We're a three-headed monster. It's me, Ed, Chatton. We were the three guys, and I want us to approach that. I don't need titles and I don't need hierarchy. I want us to be stronger as one. And we shared fitness stuff between. I mean, it was like trading baseball cards when I was 10. It was that kind of thing.
Yeah. So would you say that that's one of the best qualities to have, ideal qualities to have, is just to remain open?
I wouldn't tell you what quality to have. I would tell you, for me, that was a great quality to have, and it still is. Having that, childlike, childish curiosity and staying open to trying stuff, I think I think that keeps you in the game. Yeah.
So where did the transition happen to self practice, self sculpting, self work to let me help this other person? Let me start helping other people to accomplish some goals.
It was never a help. It was always like, do this with me. And it's hard. And I train early. So training partners are harder to come by when you're going at like 4 and 5 a.m. And you get them and they stick with it, but then somehow they always fall off before I do. I mean, I still train that time. So it was more like, hey, we should do this together because here's why. And I'm excited about it. And I don't want to say I'm pitching it because I'm not selling it, but I'm trying to pull you in because A, I want the company, and B, I know you'll benefit from it. So it wasn't like a help others. I'm sorry, I'm not as altruistic as that. But then it started, a guy asked me to train with me, and my morning guy who was training with me had blown me off that day. So I trained alone, and I think I was leaving the gym at about 6:30, 6:40, and a guy stopped me to train. It was early morning, but I know it was like early before 7, and he said, I'd like to train with you. And I was kind of like this, and I said, yeah, but I go early. And he said, that's fine. And I thought, maybe he can hang fine. And then he said, what do you charge? And I went, wait, that's not in the script. And a friend of mine said, you got to do that. That's what you do. You should do that. And so I moonlighted. I had that guy before work, and then I got a friend of his. So I was doing 2 people before work, and I was working at a talent agency, and then I go to work all day, and then later I added somebody after work. And after a very short period of time, I thought, I'm making more money with 3 people than I am at that other job in a week. And I quit.
All right. So this is our first time like face to face talking. And this is nuts because just a short version of this, my health was tragic, absolutely messed up. All right. When I was in college, I did some things to turn my health around, got myself healthy, but I didn't look like a guy who like lost weight. I just looked like somebody who was going from looking very sickly to somebody who was like radiantly healthy, to the degree that people started coming up to me at my university like, what did you do? And so a friend of mine's sister who went to the university, she stopped me one day. She was like, what did you do? Like, you look so healthy. Would you work out with me? And I was like, absolutely. You know, I was like, I can meet you on Saturday, whatever. Then she said, how much should I pay you? And it's just like time froze, right? She's like,
so weird. I've never heard anybody else, but that's, yeah.
You would pay me to do something I would do anyways?
For sure.
It changed. Like, I didn't know that existed. I didn't know that was a thing. And so that's when it all began for me. And this is a true story too. I was like, $7? Like, I didn't, I swear to God, because the job that I had was like $7 an hour, you know? So that's where I started.
Should have at least gone to 8.
I don't know. I didn't know. I was going to do it anyways. And I was just like,
yet another trainer who's a bad businessman. It's a forever story, right?
Yeah.
I'm that guy still. It's just business, whatever.
But that's when you said that, I was just like, this is why I connect with you so much,
Yep.
you know, because again, it's something you would have done anyways.
If that guy had said, I'm cool, I would have said tomorrow 5:00. And we would have worked out together until he fell off. Yeah. And I don't know what I'd be doing, but I wouldn't have done that. Yeah. Right?
So amazing. And then also, here's the thing too, and I want to ask you about this. Being in that environment, it tends to be magnetic to other folks as well when you're training people. And so like people were coming up to me, seeing me working with her or other people. My professors became my clients as well. We talked a little bit about this before we got started. The faculty at the school, you know, and just like people seeing this thing, they wanted to take part of it.
Yeah, and to me, there's a part of that evolution where you get to invent or reinvent yourself. Like the person I became as a trainer on the gym floor was not the person I was working at the talent agency. Not that I manufactured a persona, but it's a different work environment. So you're slinging around different terms and you're acting a different way because now you are not only the boss, but you're the only boss. And in the other corporate side, there's a hierarchy that you're very well aware of. So you act and speak, and I don't say you mind your P's and Q's, but you do to whatever degree. Whereas in the gym, you're in the gym, so you let it fly. And for me, I like that. And when you get that positive feedback of, clearly they like it too, because they keep coming, they keep paying, they send friends, somebody else asks you, a stranger says, I want to do that, it looks like fun, well, whatever. All of a sudden you're like, I'm good at this. And I will say I was hesitant in the beginning, right? Like I did it, and then I started to see myself from the outside, like, well, I'm becoming like something. And then I looked around more at the field, and I felt, I mean, not imposter syndrome, but I thought, I'm not certified. I don't know, like, I don't really know how to train people. I know how to work out, but I don't know how to train people. And then I looked around at other trainers, right? The field. And I thought, these guys all look like they're doing it the way I am. You're just doing, it's a job, not a career, right? And there's a big difference. And I thought, if I got serious about this, I could smoke these people. Like, I could crush this field. And I don't feel like that in other fields. Any sport you're in, I never did a sport well enough to think I could be the guy in this. I never wrote anything where I thought I could be this type of writer, or that could be a career in anything. And in this, that's what I felt. So I started doubling down on my education. So the stuff I had learned from reading, now I got serious, and I formed a system of reading, and I went into back journals, and I went on to tapes. I'm listening to William Kramer from Ball State tapes, and I'm listening to Paul Chek stuff, and I'm reading the National Strength and Conditioning Association book cover to cover. I'm even going back and reading Arnold's Education of a Bodybuilder, regardless of what people think of that book. It's called the Encyclopedia of Bodybuilding. It's an encyclopedia, and you can flip through and you can pick up a lot of little things, cues, pointers, form, position. And I started just putting all this stuff together, and then I thought, I got to get certified. So I went and got certified through American Council on Exercise. At the time, I had enough knowledge of that was not super challenging. And then I thought, what do the guys at the top have? So I thought, what do the guys in the top strength and conditioning have? That's sort of beyond, or at least in my mind then, beyond trainer. And those guys have the NSCA CSCS degree. So, okay, I got to get that. Got that. And I thought, I'll keep that in my pocket in case I ever want to, transition into pro sports. And so you start just amassing, and I would fly to seminars, and I would go anywhere. I'd fly to Orlando for, I did Orlando, I did Phoenix, I did Boston, I did San Diego, San Fran, anything where somebody was speaking. I'd go see Juan Carlos Santana, I'd see Vern Gambetta, I'd see Paul Chek, Mike Clark, I'd see any of those guys presenting. I thought, I got to learn whatever they're teaching. I got to learn.
Yeah.
And then you start putting together what works for you, or not that you guinea pig it on people, but you start applying different things you're learning, and you go, wow, that's making my programming more effective. They're benefiting from that. I have to put this together. I have to piece that together. And like we talked prior to, you start saying that, and people start hearing it, and then somebody starts parroting it, and you're like, no, that was mine. Trial and error. I came across that after X number of thousands of hours of tweaking this. You can't just poach it. And I'll always give the credit.
Yeah.
Bob Guy, that's a big thing of what I do. Former Mr. Universe had peripheral heart action. And I started reading about that, and I go, that just makes sense. All these people claim, I don't have time to do strength training and cardio. How can I get the most out of this? I don't have time to train 2-3 hours a day, blah, blah. And I go, okay, I got it. And I would try to understand how I could get more out of the body in less time, because time's the one commodity you can't make more of, right? And that applied to every single person that was working with me. And when I came across peripheral heart action, I just went so deep. Maybe as a bodybuilder, it's not the best way to gain mass, but that wasn't the group of people that were coming to me. So the ones I had that were wanting to change body composition, right? Decrease fat, increase lean tissue, but not gain massive size. That kind of training works.
Man, So I want everybody to really pick this up. You're talking about a simple principle is investing in yourself and just taking what you're focusing on doing with your career, your livelihood, and becoming world class at it. And that required you to dig into these different resources. And and we started the episode with this. I feel the same way about giving flowers and giving credit. This is why I started this episode off with your book right here that sits on my bookshelf years before we had this conversation. G-Force, the ultimate guide to your best body ever. And during this time, again, Hollywood's brightest were coming to you specifically to get camera ready. So
Hollywood's brightest then, because Hollywood's brightest now, I still see.
Yeah,
because you apply the same principles and you try to maintain, and we didn't touch on this earlier, but don't say faux humility. You're a trainer. You are, whether you like it or not, you are in a service industry, and the trainers who, I'm not in a service industry. I'm almost a scientist. Okay, maybe, but people are coming to you for a service. If you think about it, in just the rawest form of the words, they're not coming to you for a product. They're coming to you for a service. You have to serve. It doesn't make you less than. It doesn't make you lower than them. It's a service. So provide the service and keep getting better at your service so that when they come, it's not just a workout. It's the experience. I'm not selling fitness. I'm sharing energy. I'm not selling anything to you. You're coming for a service, and I want it to be top to bottom, from when you pull in parking to when you leave exhausted, cursing me and my parents. I want that to have been a terrific experience to the point that you don't even think about coming back the next day or 2 days later. That's just a given.
Yeah. All right. So, man, so powerful. Thank you for sharing that. And this isn't faux humility. I'm not going to let you be humble today. I'll do it for you. I'll be your Jiminy Cricket, and just say, like, man, like the impact that you've had on so many different lives. Like, again, you didn't even realize the impact that you had on my life. Yeah.
If I'd known that was in there, I would have tried to come up with something clever to push it back. But you just whipped it out. So
yeah.
The book.
Yeah. Just
the book. Just the book.
For now.
Yeah.
Man. So again, being that person, that go-to person for celebrities, when did that start? When did you start working with celebrities and having celebrity clients?
The first celebrity I worked with was Kelly McGillis. And
you talking about Top Gun?
Not for Top Gun, but after that.
Okay, and, but still, she's the actress from Top Gun.
Yeah, right? To me, this is funny. I have such a problem with the term, and I don't want to say this anywhere linked to Kelly because it's never been said about her, but when people refer to an actor or a performer as a B actor or that, and I think, why would you do that? Anybody who was ever A, to me, is forever A. So to me, Kelly was an A-list actor then. So I say to you, I started at the top. Like, that's the first person. First boxer I ever worked with, Mike Tyson. First tennis player I ever worked with, Pete Sampras. Like, Kelly McGillis. Those are people, bam, bam, bam. That's top shelf across the board. And I think I provide an experience and an environment that speaks to that merits that, and that's what I want to work with. We touched on this before we started. I like being around driven, successful. It's hard to say they're overachieving because who knows what they were supposed to achieve, but highly achieving people. I love being around that. That gets me fired up. That keeps me going, what could I do more? What could I do better? I'm not doing enough. Not beating myself up for it, but just keeping my fire stoked. So I like being around people like that. I don't want to be the guy who has to cajole you and lift you up and, gas you up to just, come on, man, let's get this done and let's go on to the next thing. Because if we wrap this in this time, we could do this and this and this and still have time for more stuff. That's how my mind works.
Awesome. So question, have you seen the new Top Gun?
Of course I saw the new Top Gun. I saw the first Top Gun. I went to that movie 10 times in the theater.
Oh, take my breath away.
Yeah. It was just, I don't know. It was, as a young man at that time, when did they come out? 85, 86, something had
Something
to be.
like that, yeah.
It was everything. As a guy, you're just like, it's jets and motorcycles and workout and volleyball, and there's a love story and America, and I'm all for that.
Pheromones on 10.
Oh,
coming
yes,
out of
for
there.
sure. For sure.
That's amazing. So, one of the things that I appreciate about you, and, shout out to Ed Milet for circling me back into your world and, catching you online and all that good stuff. And, I saw that a lot of things you were doing were very practical as well, for your clients and also for yourself. I saw that there was a toilet in your squat rack.
Oh, yeah.
Let's talk about that.
The toilet came, I actually designed a piece of equipment years ago called the Bottom Line, and never got it manufactured. Again, I can design it, but I don't know how to do manufacturing and marketing. But it started because people would say to me all the time, I can't do squats. I can't do squats. I love squats. And I think the NSCA used to call, maybe they still do, the king of all exercises. And there's some people online that trash it and you don't need them. Maybe they're talking about, axial loading a barbell with 2 times your body weight. Okay, maybe we don't all need that. But that movement pattern is functional. We did it to sit in this chair. And when they say that, I'd say, well, try this. And I designed this piece of machine that stopped your knees from traveling too far, and you could adjust the height. You could adjust the height of the front bar. You could adjust the height of the seat. You could clip bands onto it, so you could add resistance. You could obviously put a bar on your back. But that was too complicated. So at one point, I don't know, I said to somebody, did you use the restroom today? Yeah, what do you mean? Well, show me like how you do that. And I had him sit on a bench, and I go, that going to the bathroom, that's that movement pattern, and now we're going to add weight. And then I said, it's just like going to the bathroom. And I said that for 15 years. And then we were doing some construction at the house, and we had it's a clean new toilet, by the way. And we had an extra one, and my contractor said, I have all this stuff in the back that I'm going to return we didn't end up needing or using. And I said, can I take the toilet? And I took it to the gym and put it in there. And at the time, there was a guy working in my gym who, I don't want to say he poo-pooed it, but I know it's too easy. But he definitely didn't approve of it and thought it was stupid and whatever. And then a very high-profile person was in my gym, posted a picture, and the toilet was in the back, and the person said, and if you're wondering if that's a toilet in the background, yes, because Gunnar is into some psychological badassery. And I died at the quote. It went viral. People went nuts. I've got people, at least 5 that have written me that have a toilet in their gym. One's in England, one's in Alabama, one's somewhere, wherever. And they say, we did this because of you. And they have a little sign, which is funny. I'm going to get known for that. But to me, look, it keeps it light. Let's not all be so serious about working out. We don't use it all the time. At the end of the day, it's a box squat, right? Or that's what we're talking about.
Yeah.
Go down. There's a target for you to hit. You're aware of it spatially. You're trying to push your hips back to touch it. That's all contributing to quality squat form.
Yeah, and ultimately, that's what we want. We want to be able to be functional. We want to be able to have effective movements in the real world.
Right.
And so there's a quote that you share with me. You said that if it's not sustainable, it's not successful.
Yep.
Let's talk a little bit about that.
I think that applies to everything from your training to your nutrition to your sleep patterns to your workload to your romantic relationships to your friendships. It has to be something, however you structure it and set it up consciously or unconsciously from the beginning. If you can't maintain that, it's not going to be as good as it could be. You'll be able to get something out of it for sure, but you have to set it up in a way that you can repeat it, because it's through the repetition that you get the benefits. Very few things you could do one-off. I mean, maybe you bungee jump one-off and you go, wow, I don't need to do that again. But very few things you do one time and get any real benefit from.
Yeah. The brain is always craving patterns and repetition, and also being able to free up mental space to do other things. Mm-hmm. And so, that consistency is such a huge thing, and being able to have something that is sustainable when there's so much like flash in the pan kind of, here today, gone today stuff out there. I love that you stay true to these principles, but also keeping that open mind to like, there are more efficient and effective ways than even what we're doing right now. So just staying open to that. But there's still this core. And I want to ask you about this. I want to talk about the practical application or practical need for fitness today in our lives. Because, if we look at healthy aging, you mentioned earlier, you didn't really get into it, but some of the people that came into the field when you did, they might not be doing this because they're not doing anything, right? They might have, run themselves down, or they might not have, taken care of things that are more functional. Like, Ronnie Coleman has jumped into mind. Like
I haven't seen the
destroyed
documentary,
himself.
but I just had a conversation with him about it a couple of days ago. Someone said I have to see it. I mean, I was a huge fan of his coming up. Obviously, he just, he broke barriers. He did. It was unheard of what he was doing. The poundages he was lifting, the physique he presented on stage year after year after year. Like, how does a guy do this? And he's paying a price. Yeah. Sylvester Stallone always says the check comes due. Yeah. So certain things, you did all your own stunts for a long time. Somewhere along the line, that knee, that shoulder, it's going to start singing.
Yeah. So what are some of the things that you implement in your programming for people to have some sustainability? Because I would imagine, again, you want to give people things that are not just for them to look good on television, but for them to be able to move effectively through their lives, period.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it comes down to performance, aesthetics, and feel, right? And you can shuffle that order any way you want. For the athletes, and I see this having worked with a number of them over a number of years, it's maybe the only demographic across the board that puts performance first. Ultimately, more people should probably consider performance, because you're going to need to perform, and by perform I just mean move and do whatever your daily life requires, whether it's lifting the sack of dog food out of the back of the car, or whatever your thing is. You have to be able to perform. Looks, we're a very visual society. I mean, driving over here, I saw billboards, I saw things on the side of buses, I saw people in t-shirts, all on some level highlighting the body beautiful, whatever that is, from that marketer or that advertiser or that person wearing that shirt's standpoint, right? That's so we can't say, oh, I don't care what I look like. No, we all care on some level. That's why we have mirrors, right? You looked in that mirror. Everybody in here looked in that mirror today. Some maybe for a lot longer than others, but you do care about that. And that's not just this. We do care. We may not do anything about it, but ultimately we all want to look good. We all want to present our best self for whatever reason, and that's a whole nother book. And the other one is for feel. Not tying I look good to I feel good, but tying the exercise made my body healthy, and when it's healthy and I do certain movements, I feel better by the end of my day, in the middle of my day, when normally I didn't feel as good as I could have.
It's so good. So you just said this term, the body beautiful. You've witnessed firsthand the transition of what our society kind of deems as beautiful and the target that people are going for with their body composition, the exercises that they're doing. Because there was a time where people were looking to be as slim as possible, to we get the Jennifer Lopez era and things start changing. So let's talk about that change, because you got to see it firsthand. We went from the pancake to the pound cake. All right, let's talk about it, Gunnar.
Oh my God.
I just made that up.
I don't have anything to write that down with. If I ever use that, I'll quote you, I promise.
I can't believe I said that.
It's so good.
Sorry.
But think about how that happened. Because when Jennifer made that a thing, I don't think it was, I'm going to train to look like this and then I'm going to sell this to the world. I think it was, I look like this and this is who I am and I like myself, and you should like me for who I am and not want me to look differently. And I can't put those words in her mouth, but when you see how she carries herself and how, like, it's way more to me about people accepting a bigger butt over, a pound cake over a pancake. It's about people liking themselves and being comfortable with who they are. That's so empowering. Like, think of what you've given back from a confidence standpoint to, and that transcended. That wasn't just to women her age. That was younger women. Like she that went down the chain and up the chain, and that's really powerful. Like, hats off to you for doing that, and making people, moving people in a way that helps them do more in their lives, because they're not criticizing themselves all the time. I think people are so hard on themselves about certain aspects of their physical, and I can fall into that too. I mean, I can easily look in the mirror and go, I wish this looked different or this looked different, but I'll attack it in the gym or, at the dinner table. You got to go the other way and say, but I'm glad this looks like this. You should always in my opinion, you should always counter it with something positive. People talk about your diet, right? That changes your body. But the words you hear, and that's your auditory diet, that changes how we respond and think. You should be very careful about what you take in, and negatively and critically. There's a lot of that going on, and some of that you got to push away, just like you got to push away from too much food, too much bad food.
Yeah, man, I love that so much. And this is where I had a feeling you would turn the answer, but I was going to share with you that, I just recently read, which, a lot of people don't think about this because you just see the success afterwards, but she was really torn down early on in her career about the way her body was built, and, people telling her she needs to lose weight.
They crushed
She's
her.
too, curvy, all these different things. And you're saying the most incredible answer, which is, it's not that she went at it like, let me get my butt as, big as possible, or whatever the case might be. It's this is what I have, and let me make the best of what I have. Let me go for a greater expression of my genetic potential.
But also hear my voice when I sing, watch me when I act, and realize that this is the package that comes in here, and get on board with that, because you like the singing, you like the acting. Learn to like the package. Stop trying to change the package to fit, because she has all the other tools, all the other skills.
Yeah.
And eventually her constitution's so strong that you bend that, right? Dwayne Johnson talks about making a dent in the universe. You bent that, and now it stays bent, and that is the way it goes. And we see people different. We accept people more. I don't know that you can give Jen credit for all that, but look at commercials now versus commercials 20 years ago. There were only good-looking people in commercials 20 years ago, and now, not to say good or bad. I don't need that backlash.
What society deems to be the
Again,
superficial definition
beautiful,
of beauty.
right? What the symmetry of the face, the hair, the teeth, whatever. Now you see people in commercials, and frankly it's refreshing, because you look at that and go, oh, that product's for me. Oh, that I might need that. And I think from an advertising standpoint, that's genius. On some level, that was Jennifer ahead of the game. This is who I am. If you like this voice, this acting, this look, it comes in this package. Take it. And through her perseverance, they did. Yeah. Open the door for a lot of people.
Yeah, for sure. And, of course, this whole definition of what beauty is and what an ideal body is, this goes back, of course, thousands of years,
Yep.
different cultures. Like the ancient Egyptians, the Greek and Romans were very noted for the aesthetic aspect of, like, focusing on their culture and the physical culture of
Statue of David.
people.
It was deemed the perfect male body. That's a hell of a statement.
Right. And but this crosses cultures. There's some cultures where being thicker than a Snicker is like ideal. Like having that on you, that means your fertility is about that life. You're more likely to be a great mate and all these other things. Mm-hmm. But these are the social conditionings, and like I said, it crosses cultures. And now we're at a place where I'm seeing it, but also I'm hoping we do more of it, of celebrating our uniqueness, celebrating our beauty, and having this crossover. There's going to be a natural crossover where people see another culture, a representative of that body makeup, and like, I want to be more like that. And that's good. But what you're saying, and I love this, is one of the most important things from this episode today, is couple that with appreciating who you are and not trying to hate yourself
Oh,
into change.
it's, yeah. And I think it's great when you see a person who's in a moment being heralded for their physique and they tell you what they did to get it and they're honest about it, because that's, I think, what the public needs to hear. You need to know that that person did an hour of fasted cardio in the morning and then strength trained for 60 to 90 minutes 5 days a week, and their diet was restricted to this calorie and this macronutrient. That's the way they strategize that, and they slept this much and drank this much water. Then you realize, wow, that's why they look like that. If they can sustain that, cool. But if they can't, then the next time you see them, they're going to look different. That's just, it's not sustainable. It's not successful. And that's what that comes to. So I don't like when you see someone present an extraordinary physique or a heretofore unseen level of physicality on screen, and then they go, I really didn't think about it. I was so focused on the script and really getting the character down. I did a little bit of this or a little bit of that, but that wasn't my focus, because they don't want to seem like they were too narcissistic. And you go, no way. There's no chance your body went from what I saw you in the movie 2 years ago to this without concentrated effort. Just own it. Just be honest to the fans and to the future fans, to the youth. You don't want to say to the youth, hey, you can do very little and you'll have this kind of transformation. Be honest with what it takes. That's, I think, your responsibility. I'm not a role model. Okay, maybe not a role model, but there are people who are going to look to you for guidance and try to go, how do they look like that? I want to look like that. You have to map out for them what it actually takes. It's a lot of, it's a lot of work.
Facts.
It's a lot of work.
And also, if you're cutting corners, can you be honest about that as well? Because there's some shifty things happening out there on the streets as well.
But a lot of it's socially not acceptable. I'm not saying if you're, using PEDs that you have to own that, but you can say, I do everything. I mean, I don't know. There's a way to do it. I'm not going to write their script, but it's strange to me when people are working really, really hard and they're diligent about it and they're sticking to calorie. They're living in a calorie deficit for however long, and they're really on their grind, and they go, yeah, I don't know, it's just my body sort of evolved this way, and I'm happy with the look that I gave the character when it was on screen. You're like, no, you're not. You worked for that. But talk about how hard that work is.
Yeah. I'm not anti very much anything. I'm very pro honesty.
Oh, it's all.
And
the person who said, I took growth hormone for this role because I wanted to present this character on screen. Hats off, dude. They're good. Wow, great. Good to know. I'm not saying I'm going down that route or your followers are. Maybe the weaker ones, who look for that. And I'm not against any of that. I'm saying do what you want to do, but exhaust all the right avenues first. Not that that's a wrong one. Got to tiptoe. But see how far you can go on your own, because it's pretty amazing what the body can do.
Facts.
And then add where you want.
Yeah.
Whether it's over the counter or whether it's under the table. It's just whatever you want to do. That's a completely individual decision, and I don't judge that. What I don't like is when you lie about it.
Man. Gunnar Peterson. We're here with Gunnar Peterson, the legend. I got to ask you about this because fitness is so much bigger than just fitness. And you already mentioned, we've got the performance side, the aesthetics, the feel, but you've had the opportunity to see firsthand in your own life and in all the people that you've worked with, how does fitness cross over into other areas of our lives, our relationships, our work, and things like that?
We have something written in the gym that says everything you do inside the gym makes everything you do outside the gym better. And I see that every day in my own life and in other people's lives. So the take home from that is it'll make obviously whatever your physical tasks are in life will be easier, because you're training above and beyond that, right? Whatever you're carrying, lifting, pushing, pulling, hinging, lunging, whatever in the gym, whatever you have to do in real life, easy, because you've already done it and you've done it heavier. It improves your patience. It improves your quality of sleep. You're a better spouse. You're a better parent. You're a better friend. You're more resistant to injury. You're more resistant to disease, illness. Your rate of absenteeism goes down at work. You become a better employee or a better boss. You earn more. That's rewarded. That reward, whether it's financial or whatever, people look at you and go, wow, this guy's, always healthy, always upbeat. Your moods are better, improved moods. And this is all science. I'm not telling you anything like people go, I don't really feel that way. Yeah, scientifically you do. Those are all things that happen at a physiological level. And then your self-confidence goes up because of all those other things that have happened, because of what you did in the gym. And then that just, to me, opens up so many other doors. How can you not want to work out? And I'm not saying work out with me or work out the way I work out. I'm saying do something physical. You have a brain and a body. You're arguably working your brain every single day. Work your body every day. Different levels of intensity, different durations, but do something. Move it. Like, what's McConaughey's thing? Break a sweat every day? Just break a sweat. Like, come on. Doesn't mean go crazy. Doesn't mean run a marathon. It means move your body. Respect the what you have, the machine.
You only get one.
Yeah.
I remember it was Jim Rohn said that, take care of your body. It's the only place you have to live.
Yeah, great.
And that stuck with me a long time ago.
Great line.
There's so much that's coming forward right now. We still have a lot to learn about the human body. We're not even really close to cracking the code that we've been looking for, but we're seeing some interesting things. For example, we know that strength training has some very unique and kind of exponential benefits. And one of the things recently discovered were these myokines that are getting produced when we're engaging our muscles under resistance. And these myokines are one of the most remarkable things for protecting our brain from degradation and just improving cognitive function overall. And so, there's so many benefits for us to extract, and we have it in us. It's kind of like this built-in pharmacy or this built-in grocery store that we have access to, and all we got to do is just do something, and we get all these benefits. And I want to ask you about this as well. Obviously you work with a wide range of people, a wide range of body types. What are some of the things that we can, because I want people to be able to get some of the knowledge from Gunnar Peterson as well. Are there some consistent things that you have just about everybody doing when they come to work with you?
Oh, I mean, I touched on it a second ago. Push, pull, squat, hinge, lunge, carry, rotate, different movement patterns. I'm big on the planes of motion. So, because look at where our eyes are on our head, we tend to be more proficient in the sagittal plane, right? But you have to be able to move in the frontal plane and in transverse plane as well. So I put movement patterns in specifically, and of course I load them so that when you have that, right, if I have you doing a side lunge with dumbbells and coming back and repeating that, when your toddler breaks for the pool, that's an easier move because you don't have the dumbbells. So little things that transfer like that, transverse plane, rotation. A lot of people worry about working in rotation under load. If you look at your life, even from getting in the car and reaching for the seat belt, it's transverse plane. It gets stuck. That's under, you're working that. You have to, your body, if you train that way, that's never going to mess you up.
It won't be a surprise to you.
Yeah, and it's not gonna ruin your day, and it's not gonna pull something. So we add that movement too, and you do it standing, seated, lying. You're gonna do things in all planes of motion. But I have a ton of gym equipment. I mean, to the point where I might argue that I might agree with the argument that I have a problem, but I don't want to do anything about it. So that's the first part of the battle, right? So I'll do all those movements with different kinds of equipment. It keeps your body ready for something new, but you're still grooving the movement patterns so that you become more proficient.
Love it, love it. It's these are the basics, you know. Like it sounds like again, but leaning into that more. And I want to ask you about this specifically. You've repeated this multiple times, so I just want to point this out.
Wait, I'm repeating myself?
I mean, it's a tenet that we tend to look
Time to
past
go.
because we tend to think it's, you know, when we associate the accomplishment of fitness, what's glorified is being in the gym and sweating and like that's where you're grinding and making it happen. But you've mentioned the importance of nutrition several times throughout. So let's take that. We're going to put that to the side. We're going
Can't
to make
deny
it a
it.
given.
Yeah.
And now we're looking at, okay, but what about somebody's getting camera ready? They've got the nutrition component dialed in, and they're coming to see Gunnar, and they're wanting to, you know, drop some body fat. All right. So we know the movement patterns, right? But let's talk about. So are we doing what's the rep range look like if we want to get a little bit leaner, you know, drop a little bit of body fat? What does that look like? Are we doing like lots of sets, low reps, like?
It's going to be, rep range is going to be here. People are going to hate this. I didn't learn anything. I can't take anything away from that. It's going to be anywhere from 5 to 20 reps. It's going to be anywhere from 7 to 12 or 13 maybe movements. And we're probably going to go through it 3 times. And the intensity, I'm going to play with the intensity. There's so many variables to tweak, right? I don't want to say the permutations are endless because then mathematicians go, no, they're not, and they give you a number. But I can tweak volume, I can tweak intensity, I can tweak weight, I can tweak rest. You can play with sequencing. There's so many ways to keep it fresh. And one, I want to keep it fresh for you to stay mentally engaged. And two, I don't want your body to ever get used to this. I want your body to always be adapting to what we are throwing at it, because through the adaptation comes the change. The change is what you came for initially. So if we one day, it's not always bigger muscles before smaller muscles. Sometimes it's we prioritize the ones that we I know we can't isolate, but we will give more focus to areas that need more focus, that we see, that we know, even though we may not be able to see it. Like, we know you're not strong in X area or in X movement. We may hit that early on when you're fresh, or we may hit it later on. Years ago, I saw somebody who said they never do any Olympic lifts towards the end of a workout when central nervous system is more likely to be fried and it's such a technical lift. And all I thought was, okay, I get that. That makes perfect sense to me. But I would hit the Olympic movements in the towards the end of a workout, because what if you're an athlete and it's in the fourth quarter or overtime when you need to be as strong and as explosive as possibly, and you've never encountered that in a training stimuli. I want to get you there so that when we go to overtime, when we're at the buzzer and you have to maximally exert from an explosive standpoint, your body goes, I got this. And we've done it. Maybe we didn't do it with a ton of weight, but you're only going to be doing it with body weight in sports. How great if you've already been there under load and now you're fresh, right? It's if you look at teams in overtime, a lot of times the best conditioned teams can prevail in overtime. Obviously, momentum if they came from a deficit and then they caught up and they were tied at the buzzer. But sometimes it just comes down to conditioning. And if we can get you conditioned to do that, why wouldn't I train you like that? And I would.
Yeah.
I would.
I love this because so this is really identifying an important tenet, which is there isn't some magic within the rep range. It's about what you're doing within that. So now here's the real question. So that was a little bit of a setup question. Are we going to muscle failure? Are we getting close to muscle failure? Are we leaving a lot in the tank? What is your preference if we're looking at?
So the answer is yes, because it's going to depend what you bring that day.
Yeah.
What if you, What if we're, say you're an actor and you're just transitioning from night shoots to day shoots, and I catch you in that moment and your body is still regulating, getting used to now turning your energy systems around. Circadian rhythms are all completely off. I don't want to, it would be irresponsible. Pick one of those for me to now push you under load to momentary muscle failure or technical failure. Why would I do that to you and risk, especially when you're in the middle of a production, you're getting injured? I'm not doing that. I'm pulling back
sick
now.
as well.
Yeah, sure. All right, you're too taxed. You can't recover. That manifests itself in now you're sick. And now you hold up the entire production. That's a problem. I'm getting a call probably. They're always going to blame the trainer. But so no, I'm not taking you to failure. But you're fresh. We're in the off season. Oh, for sure. We're looking for XYZ goal. Yeah, we might go to failure today. Yeah. Or I wasn't even planning to go to failure, but you come in ready to go, and I'm like, oh, this person is. We're changing this today. I'm going to adapt. I write every workout out the night before, and I print them up, and I have them for each person. And I've done it for literally probably 27 of the 30 years I've been doing this. And I have them on there. There's nobody's name. I put initials and the date and then the workout. And what I tell them is I reserve the right to edit this. It's not a Bible. It's a template. It's how I see this happening. But if during it something happens, or I notice something, or you divulge something, I'm going to change that. But if not, that's what we're going to follow. So that could be you're hungover. That's an easy one, right? So I think, okay, I'm not going to try to punish you and push you, but I'm going to push you so we get the most out of this in your current condition. That could be you didn't tell me, I haven't seen you in 2 weeks, and you didn't tell me you got a boob job last time I saw you, and now the doctor says you can come back, but you can't do anything upper body, or you can only do light cardio, whatever it is. I look at that and I go, oh, I got to amend. I have to make changes. I got to edit right now. So what I had planned may not be the best thing for you. So I will go to failure for sure. What were the other ones you said?
Just prior to failure, or just leaving a lot in the tank. Just
Yeah,
kind of like
and sometimes you got to leave them in the tank because they say, I'm squeezing this in and I have to be on set at this time. And I know that means they're going to have a 12-hour day. I can't gas you right now. You won't be able to perform the way you perform, which makes you who you are, which is why you got to me in the first place. Same with athletes, right? Game day lifts are completely different from off day lifts. Travel day lift, different from game day lift. Post game lift, different from pre-game activation. Off season lift, different from everything else. So you got to, and especially if you're working with guys in the off season or girls in the off season, sometimes they're doing 4 different things in a day. So I can't have, if they're seeing me and then going to boxing and then doing a beach workout, I have to go, where are you fitting me in? Why did you choose to put me in that slot? Who told you that and why? Because I want to understand, and then I want to give you my feedback. And that's going to be goal dependent. It's not that strength and conditioning always comes before footwork or hand to eye or whatever. It's going to come where it comes based on what your end goal is. Where do we give it? Do you take a nap? Do you do this? Did you sleep? So you have to be flexible in your programming. And if you're not, and you're like, this is how I do it, and this is short-lived for you.
Yeah, man, that's some of the best advice, because life is constantly changing. There's always, nothing is staying the same. It's just, that's a part of life. Life is movement, life is change. And so it's great to have that template, but we can do this, especially if we're working in this field, for working with people, but we can do this for ourselves. And I literally do this every day. I'm checking in and seeing what range I'm going to go based on.
You do it with yourself.
Absolutely.
Me too. I do it myself. And I have people come in, and I usually put them on a piece of cardio, whether it's a treadmill, an elliptical. I put them on some kind of repetitive movement pattern cardio to elevate the core temperature. But it's also a way to get them to realize they're in the gym now. You're in the gym. And we're taking all that outside noise and we're going to dial it down. And then towards the end of your 3, 4, 5, 8 minutes, whatever we do, and it's not scripted like that, because some days I see you're antsy. You don't want to be on there a long time. Some days I see you're antsy and you should be on there for a long time, because you need to get out of whatever headspace you're in when you walked in to be in the gym mode. And I'll say usually, how's the body feeling? That's anybody who's ever trained with me is going to go, oh my God, he says that all the time. I do, because I want you to tune in to how your body's feeling. I feel great, or I'm sore as shit, or I feel like I didn't sleep, or I feel, I don't know, my shoulder's hurting, whatever it is. I'm going to factor that into how we proceed from there. But I need you to check in with you before I check in with you. I can't just come over and assess it. I'm sure I can watch you walk down the track, and if you're limping, I go, okay, well, that's going to be a problem. But if you're not, I may not know you're hiding it, or you're not even tuned into it, so I'm going to ask. But it forces you to check in.
I'm going to ask you one more question in the same line of thinking, and I kind of have a feeling what the answer is going to be. Again,
now I'm predictable.
No,
that's simple.
This is so. Again, if the target is fat loss, are we doing, or is there a preference? Are you leaning towards circuit training, straight sets, supersets?
So if I'm taking the peripheral hard action approach, just because I know it works, I've seen it play out so many times, I'm going to create an aerobic environment through what might normally be considered anaerobic movements and how I sequence them. So I want your heart rate to come up and to stay up, but I don't want you to forego strength training. So I'm going to find ways to force your heart to work consistently versus having it just jump and then drop back. I'm not just trying to get your ATP. I want to get all the systems, and I want you to feel that all the way through. And I want you to leave feeling exhausted, but not beat up. So I'll sequence it. I might do a basic one. If we're doing a dumbbell bench press, I may do shoulder off, glute off dumbbell bench press, and then have you get up and pick up a weight and do a Bulgarian split off the end of the bench, and then drop down and do a weighted hollow body hold on the bench, and then get up and get on a Versa climber for 60 seconds. So I did upper, if you're looking at it in not, I don't want to say body parts, but if you're looking at it in regions of the body, an upper extremity move, a lower extremity move, a core move, and then something that spiked you higher than those movements probably did from a heart rate standpoint. So I know you were elevated, spike, come down, elevated, like that.
Mm-hmm. Got it. And then we just repeat that cycle?
No, so that might be the first, 4 movements. I might have another one in there that's 5, back to back to back. If you're training every day, I'm probably going to use some kind of a modified push-pull program, because I don't want you just to do everything all the time. I think there's a burnout that comes, and also like your whole body just feels beat up. I don't need you to feel that way. I want you to feel energized, not drained, exhausted, but invigorated.
Got it. So there's a lean towards circuits here.
Yeah, but and yes, you're not wrong. Circuits is such a, to me, circuit training is such it's a catch-all, and it sounds way more random. Like if you think you do any 4 things 3 times versus the 4 that I just mapped out, if you didn't have purpose and thought behind that, your yield will be far less than mine. So like people go, well, I just did a little bit of this. I watch people in public gyms all the time. They do a little bit of this, a little bit of that, a little bit. And I think, I mean, cool, but if you had changed that up and added one little thing, that could have been effective. But the way you did it was so poorly planned, unfortunately for you, because you spent the time what you're going to get out of that is going to be far less really than what you deserve.
Yeah.
And that's where I say, hire a trainer. I'm not pushing my field. I don't get anything out of this for me, but hire a pro. You would no sooner, if you had never gone scuba diving, you would no sooner go rent tanks and jump in the water. I mean, you get a pro, take a lesson. Same thing with tennis. I've talked about that before. How about this for a frustrating afternoon? You don't play tennis, I don't play tennis. We go buy 2 tennis rackets and a can of balls and we get out on a court. That would suck. That would just be awful. We don't know how to grip the racket. We don't know what a swing through looks like, a follow through. We don't know the difference between a forehand and a backhand. We certainly don't know how to serve or keep score. That's a frustrating afternoon. However, the two of us take the same money, go hire a tennis pro and take a lesson. Within 10 minutes, you are stroking the ball and you feel like it's fun. This is engaging. We're doing something together. The payoff is so much more. Same money, same time. But you had an ego and I don't need a pro. I don't need a lesson. No, you do. And you do need a lesson in the gym. Yeah. I heard my own tone. I'm on my soapbox now. but I see it all the time. I don't need a trainer. I'm not saying you need a trainer all day, every day, but it doesn't hurt. I travel. I hire trainers because I want to see what they're doing. Maybe I'll pick up something. I like to talk to people in the field. It's not putting anybody on the spot. It's like, let's do a workout. And I've been to some places where they have no plan. And I've been to some places where I see things that they do and I think, wow, if I ever did that, I would lose everybody who trained with me. And then I see others, I'm like, this person is so prepared. I mean, where they are, they're probably not going to, maybe they don't want to reach great heights in the field, but there's just such good quality trainers out there. They're all around the world, but especially you see them in places you're like, you're so good. Like you're in this area where you're never going to be, air quotes, discovered. And maybe that's not your goal, but man, you're good at this. And then you see others, you're like, dude, you should never leave this gym because you'd be fired anywhere else you went.
So, again, you've helped to shift the culture in fitness and training for many years. But what's next for you? What's coming up for Gunnar Peterson?
I'm moving tomorrow to Nashville. How about that? We got a property. It has a 2,500 square foot building on it. It has acreage, so there can be some outdoor components to it. We're adding about 10,000 square feet to it, and it's going to be my lab, my candy store. It's going to be all the stuff, I don't want everything you ever dreamed of, but it's going to be the place. I have a sign in the gym, in my current gym here in Beverly Hills, that says there's no place I'd rather be. And that's going to always be, like right now, there's no place I'd rather be than right here. I was excited to do this when I got your text, when Ed Milet said, you got to meet him. I was like, I've been fired up to come on this. I followed you for a long time. I even comment on your stuff, and I'm like, there's no place I'd rather be. I mapped this out. When I got back in town about 5 days ago, I worked back from this, what I was going to do. So I had it bang, bang, bang. And I was on, you saw 5 minutes early. And so I like to always be where I want to be most. And so my new gym will be that. It will be that place. I guess when you talk about a gym, you can't say it'll be that place on steroids, because then people think, hey. But it'll be that place augmented, right? It'll just be everything I've wanted. It hopefully can deliver a product that people want, that they're into. I'll never push it on people, but I want that buzz to be, what is that place? I want to get in there, and I want them to leave feeling as happy as they were when they got there.
Amazing. Well, the bright lights in Nashville are going to get a little bit brighter with you there.
Let's see.
Man, it's just been such a great opportunity to hang out with you. Thank you so much for making me a part of this plan. You're literally moving tomorrow, and so to be here with you in this moment is really, really special. And again, I know you didn't know the impact that you've had on me and my thinking, and so I'm just really grateful for you.
I dropped my wife and daughter off at the airport this morning. I drove back to check on the progress of my gym, of which there was not as much as I had hoped, the dismantling. I worked out in the gym for about an hour and 5 minutes, literally in the parking lot, in the wreckage of the equipment. And I was just like, I'm doing this. And went home, showered, and came over here. It was all mapped out. And I'm like, this is a great day.
Yeah.
What's that Burt Kreischer line? Best day ever.
Best day ever, yeah.
Yeah, I think if you go into your day knowing or hoping that it can be that, it's way more, you have a much higher chance of having it be that.
Facts. Man, well, thank you so much for just being you. I mean, this is amazing, like to sit here with you and to hear these insights. And obviously people are going to want to jump into your universe a little bit more. If they're not in Nashville now, where can people follow you, get more information, just kind of get into your universe?
I'm on Instagram, Gunnar Fitness on Instagram, and that's kind of it. I do answer everything at some point. It may not be in real time, like it's not a live dialogue, but I try to get to them and respond, and you have to give back. And that sounds so corny, but so many people get to a certain stage and they don't respond, they don't answer. Like, how do you not answer? It's just, if someone's not coming at you hurling insults, why would you not just respond? It takes a second, even if it's just an emoji, like right back, thumbs up, or stop sign, can't, whatever it is. So I try to write back and stay on it. And I mean, really, as a trainer, what you're doing is you're holding the gym door open for people, right? I want you to come in, whether it's with me, whether it's on your own, whether it's with someone else. I want you to benefit from your relationship with the gym the same way I have.
Amazing. And by the way, the book is still out there on the streets, G-Force. And I know you see your baby self, man. Yep. And, this really introduced me to using the stability ball in all kinds of creative ways, that I was working with people. I was taking what I learned from you and implementing this with the people I was working with. And even from that, what it's like just being in a gym and working with people. There's this creativity that just takes place if you care and you're paying attention. And, one of the interesting things that I've seen.
But nobody owns an exercise. So when you see somebody do something and that looks like you could benefit from it or enjoy it, do it. And go ask them. As a rule, people in a gym like to talk. I mean, obviously, if they've got headphones or AirPods in there, that's probably the international sign of don't bother me. But if they don't, you can ask a question. And in my experience, they're often open to giving you maybe more time or information than you wanted. They're just happy somebody recognized that they were doing something that they had created. And why do you do quick question, why do you do your dips like that? You're pushed all the way forward. If you look at like Charles Glass and Michael Hearn, they come forward almost in a ball and they're lowering down. It's like a gymnastics move. I think Charles Glass had a gymnastics background, if I'm not mistaken. And you're like, why do you do that? And they'll tell you, it puts more emphasis on the triceps. You can get down, and they're happy to share that with you. Yeah. Ask them. You'll learn, you'll grow. Who knows?
Hey, if you like this video, make sure to check out this video right here.
I'm now 64. I quit running competitively when I was 30, and I shifted away from endurance and more toward speed and strength. But I was able to make that transition to the point where now I feel pretty competent as a strong, lean guy who performs pretty well in the gym, but also I sprint. I play ultimate frisbee with 20-somethings, and I can keep up with them.